I remember the first thing God told me in prayer was to come to me with, an open slate, not what you've been taught or what you've been told. He said, one of the things that's going to open up the presence is your sincerity of your heart. I need you to be open to me. So I could not approach him the way that I necessarily was taught to. He wanted the authentic, real version of myself. And once I began to give him that is when doors began to open between him and I, which really opened the door for myself to discover who I was.
You are here. Welcome to the Purpose Finder podcast. This is the show where we uncover why you are truly here and, more importantly, how to make it your reality. My father, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, said the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without purpose. And research further shows that people with a strong sense of purpose are 2.4 times more likely to feel fulfilled. Each week, I sit down with extraordinary guests, entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders who are boldly living their why. We dive deep into their journeys, the struggles they've overcome, their breakthroughs, and the lessons that can help you do the same. I am your beautiful host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and we're about to explore the mindsets, tools, and strategies to help you live a life with purpose, passion, and legacy. Are you ready? Let's go and dive into the episode. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Purpose Finder podcast, where our mission is simple: to inspire you to find and uncover your life's purpose and to live a life overflowing with three things: meaning, fulfillment, and significance. Deep down, we all crave belonging. No one wants to feel unfulfilled, and we're all searching, asking that big question: why in the world am I here? Well, I hope you can find your answer right here on the Purpose Finder podcast. I am your host, Charissa Monroe Wilborn, and today I have the incredible, amazing honor of sitting with a longtime friend of mine, Dr. John Tyus. He is someone who isn't just thinking or talking about it, but he's living it out boldly. We're going to learn about some adversities on his purpose journey and some lessons that he's learned along the way. Dr. Tyus, how are you? Welcome to the pod. So good to have you. Thank you for saying yes. It's been a long time.
It's been a long
It's
time.
been a long time.
Yeah.
The last time you and I did anything together, you had short hair.
I had short hair. You see this? You see this?
Oh,
you see
man. It has grown. It is.
You know?
Is it? Well, mine is kind of on my back at the moment, but yours are past your shoulders. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. No, I had to grow it out, and so I had short hair at that time. So you probably saw me say, "What?" Yeah.
I know it's been a long time, but time did not change. Time didn't stop. It didn't block anything. I sent the invitation and you said absolutely. So I am grateful for those who are going to be listening to hear your story. You have a lot to tell, and you're doing amazing things. So please share with us who you are, where you're from, where you come from, and how are you where you are today.
Yeah, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and to a fantastic mother and father. My father was a pastor. He started our ministry where I'm now the senior pastor at back in 1992. He unfortunately passed away a year and a half into the pastorate. My mother took over the ministry and stood by her side, and she passed the ministry off to me about 3 years ago. And started the ID movement, which is a passion project for me, a purpose project, really, that the Lord gave me in prayer, and focused on, young men that don't have fathers in their lives, have a fantastic wife and a beautiful baby girl named London that is turning 7 in a month's time now. So she is very active and very much so like her father. And so I'm honored to be here. A lot to tell. In terms of, if this was a resume, I would say a lot more, but this is personal. So, I've done a lot of things and had the privilege of putting on a lot of conferences, writing several books, starting my own organization, and service our young people a lot here in the community in the Ohio area.
Thank you. And I'm happy that you said it's personal, because it is personal. And as much as purpose is not for you, it is still personal to you.
Mm, absolutely.
And so please tell us what it is that you do that's purpose driven in the
Yeah.
world. And what was your journey kind of figuring that out?
Yeah, yeah. No, the journey was very long. The journey was very long and very um, tiring at times, frustrating at times. Times I wanted to give up. Times I wanted to throw in the towel that I chose not to. Thank God I chose not to. Something that you consistently figure out as you continue to go. And I think people think it is a period, but it's a comma. And it's filled with commas, moments of slowing down, moments of continuing. And I have had a long journey in my 39 years. And so I started, I guess I can start from a place of, again, from my mother and father. It starts with your roots. And I had a great father, great mother. Father started the ministry in 1992, World Conquerors Through Jesus Christ in Columbus. And I remember the ministry was growing, doing very, very well. And I remember him calling us down for a family meeting back in 1993. So he started the ministry in 92. I'm sorry, but in 1993, he called us down for a family meeting and didn't know what that was about. I have an older brother and older sister. And I'm the youngest of the three. And I go downstairs and I'm playing with the stress ball, squeezing it, playing it as a little 7-year old would, and didn't understand that my life was about to get very stressful. And my dad sat in his red chair along with my mother. My mother was crying, didn't know why she was crying. And he explained that, the stomach pains that he's been having was due to colon cancer. He just got diagnosed with colon cancer. My sister began crying because she understood what that was. My brother looked puzzled. I didn't know what that was at 7. I just consistently played with the ball. And then as I saw my father, go from a strong 6'4", 240 pounds to about 160 pounds in a couple of months. And I saw him just starting the ministry. The ministry is growing, doing all these great things. And here, this guy who's my Superman passes away. And I didn't understand it at that time. I went through a lot of things. I went through a lot of fights in school, a lot of anger in school. I was an F&D student. I used to pray to God for C's because if I got C's back then, I was passing. And I was the class clown. I would try to mask my pain with humor. And I would hope that I can weasel through situations because I was afraid of dealing with where my pain was coming from. And as I got through middle school, got through high school, barely made it into the first year of college, got on academic probation several times, almost got kicked out of the community college I was in, failed the same math course 4 or 5 times. It was crazy. It was a crazy journey until I got to a place with God personally that I said, you know what? I'm tired of dealing with this depression, dealing with this issue, these issues that I was dealing with, and I began to pray. I just simply begin to pray and spend some time with God and pick up your father's books. And that's what I did. I began to pick up his books and I began to pray and spend some time in those areas, and my life changed. And at that point, God, I remember the first thing God told me in prayer was to come to me with, an open slate, not what you've been taught or what you've been told. He said, one of the things that's going to open up the presence is your sincerity of your heart. I need you to be open to me. So I could not approach him the way that I necessarily was taught to. He wanted the authentic, real version of myself. And once I began to give him that is when doors began to open between him and I, which really opened the door for myself to discover who I was. Yeah, so I can go into more, but I think that's where, yeah, kind of the early stages of it.
But no, and I want you to give us more because
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking to the men that are going to be listening.
Mm-hmm.
Women, yes, but I love when a man can have another man to look,
Mm-hmm.
not even to look up to, but to look into
Mm-hmm.
themselves. I can only imagine how many other men had their story begin just like yours. You were 7 years old when you first
Mm-hmm.
heard about your dad's illness. And, since then you've been trying to, you've gone through a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
You did a lot of humor. You put a lot of humor.
Mm-hmm.
You cope with a lot trying to not be seen so that you don't be
Mm-hmm.
seen. Really,
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of young men
Mm-hmm.
deal with that. But I say men because these young men grow up to be big men who get
Mm.
stuck in that 7-year-old body.
Yes, and that was me. To be quite honest with you, I remember in sixth grade, after my father had passed, I was dealing with all those emotions that I could not manage and deal with. And I remember going to school, and a sixth grade teacher. I suffered with math and science, was horrible at that point. And I remember speaking to this teacher and saying, I got the answers. I actually went home and I studied. And the teacher said, okay, John, go ahead out of the school. I mean, not out of the school, out of the room, go to your locker, get your pencil, come back and show me what you've learned. And I remember that my pencil was inside my book bag, which was still in the class. So I exited the room, but then I quickly came right back. And as I grabbed the door and opened it, I saw that the teacher was talking to the rest of the students, was saying, John is stupid. John don't know nothing. He ain't gonna never be nothing in life. And they were saying these words to me. So someone that was supposed to lead and guide me and protect me and shield me was destroying my faith in my life, in my future. I didn't have it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling because she affirmed the fear that I already had. She
Mm.
was confirming the places in me that was supposed to be tore down and rebuilt, but she was affirming the bad things in me. And I believed her. So my grades consistently went bad as I went through school, middle school, high school. Prayed my way out of high school. Literally was had a 56%, which is an F, and you can't pass unless you have a 60. And I prayed, and somehow it got to a 60%. So God was on my side, by the way. But literally went through all of this. Got to high school, still hadn't healed. Was again on academic probation, failing the same math course, failing these courses, and I got to a point, to my lowest point, and I said, I'm tired of feeling the way that I feel about myself, and I'm tired of watching other people succeed and me consistently fail. I got tired of the feeling of that. And then God really stepped in as a relationship and began to father me. And he became my counselor. I brought notepads to prayer every single day, and I would write down what he would share with me. And it was very personal. He was talking to things in my life, and I wasn't afraid to hear what he had to share. And talking about places in my life, he went straight to the core. He went straight to your absent father. And here I am, a 19-year-old young man that had to deal with the root in order for God to heal the fruit of my life. And so it was a lot of pain and that I had to deal with. And it turned into passion. And then that turned into purpose, right? And so from that point, I had to I had to heal. And wisdom is just unhealed. I mean, it's just healed pain, rather. And so as I went through my relationship with God, he began to share with me who he said I am versus what that teacher said I am, those other teachers, because it was more than her that said that, versus the situation of the absence father in my life. And while a lot of men may be watching this, their father may have not died, but their father may have not been in their life. And so it may have been due to substance abuse. It may have been due to just choices of just not being present, or being present but not being present, or the fathers that know the Bible more than they know their sons. And so that really doesn't understand that balance. And then God gave me in prayer the ID movement. And I remember I was in the middle of prayer, and I saw these big white letters as a vision, the ID movement, and it was dealing with men discovering their identity and their purpose. And the I stands for inspire, and the D stands for develop, because you can't develop anybody without first inspiring them. And so that's where the ID came from. And he showed it to me, and I chased that idea for years. And but it didn't find a home until I got into my doctorate program. So for years I chased it, and I was trying to say, man, this is what God told me to do, but it wasn't until God's timing that it actually came to fruition. And even in that, right? So as I go back to even the sixth grade teacher that was talking about me, that said these things to me, I still believed her, even though I was accomplishing things in life. So I was getting the doctorate degree, getting the master's degree, starting the ID movement. I was running for school board at that time. I had begun working on my books and began to work on citywide events that was bringing the whole city out. Little John doing all these things, but I was succeeding. However, I was chasing ghosts. And what I mean by that is I was chasing the voice of that teacher. I was trying to prove her wrong still. She was nowhere to be
Mm.
found in my life. She had
Mhm.
actually passed away, and I was still chasing the ghost of that teacher, the impression she left on me. And so it was only until I got to a new level in God of owning that that's a void in me that I have to deal with. So I begin to walk in purpose in a different way. That this is what God called me to do versus trying to prove that teacher wrong. And so some of us accomplish great things, but with the wrong intent. So
So good. Thank you for giving us more because there's so much I want to unpack and we don't have enough time.
I know I'm sorry.
Because no, but I love it because first of all, I'm so grateful that you leveled the plane for
Hmm.
anyone listening.
Hmm.
Because the absence of father, people think about it as having a father who's very much alive, but he wasn't in your life, or he's a deadbeat
Hmm.
dad, or he
Hmm.
chose not to be in your life, or he's on
Hmm.
substance abuse, he's in prison. Like though, and they think about fatherlessness being my father's here, but he doesn't want to be here in my life.
Hmm.
Yours had absolutely nothing to do with that. Your father is absent because he is
Hmm.
honestly absent from the earth. Like he's passed
Right.
on. And for
Yeah.
you, that still felt like a father's not there,
Same
especially when
results.
you had a great father for those first 7, 8 years of your life.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so anyone that's listening can fall into this conversation that we are going to have,
Hmm.
listening to a young man
Hmm.
who his father is no longer in his life. He was
Hmm.
absent, not by choice, but
Hmm.
he's absent regardless. But you still had to navigate life without a father.
Hmm.
And now, what does that look like? And so, other men can look at that and say, okay, he has gone through some of the exact same things I've gone through. And
Hmm.
I had a dad who was very much present on substance
Hmm.
abuse. So, they can
Right.
still listen to you. And one of the things that you said, and I love it, you said that wisdom is healed
Pain.
pain,
Hmm.
which also automatically destroys this perspective of wisdom being
Hmm.
age determined,
Mm.
meaning the
Mm.
older you are, the more
Mhm.
wisdom you have.
Mm.
But yet you were and are a very young man who has
Mhm.
gone through a whole lot of life.
Mhm.
You've experienced a whole lot of trauma. You've experienced a
Mhm.
whole lot of adversities. You've experienced
Mhm.
and you've allowed yourself to develop. You've allowed
Mhm.
yourself to heal. You've allowed
Mhm.
yourself to grow. And so as you speak, you're speaking from someone who, and you've had a whole lot of download
Mhm.
from God. So
Yes.
you've allowed yourself to heal, and now you're in the position of someone I would rather trust over someone who may
Mhm.
be 60 and haven't
Yeah.
gone through much other than they've lived 60
Come
years.
on now. Come on now. Yeah.
I appreciate it. But I never looked at wisdom as,
Mhm.
at least one of the perspectives, as healed pain. And you
Mhm.
talked about this pain that you had for so long being what led you to your passion,
Mhm.
which is then what led you to your purpose.
Purpose. Mhm.
And then you develop the ID movement, which stands for
Yes.
inspire and develop. And
Mhm.
one of the things you were saying, I is inspire and D means develop. And you were saying that, because it's very hard to develop others,
Mhm.
um, or to develop if you can't develop others, but also it's very difficult to develop others if you haven't developed yourself.
100%.
And what I heard as you were talking is you were doing along this life process of
Mhm.
trying to figure out how do I get past all this unhappiness and sadness and pain. Like you
Mhm.
had to develop, you had to grow yourself.
Mhm.
And now
Absolutely.
you can be a true uh, example to the young boys that you're mentoring
Mhm. Mhm.
and that you're leading. You can
Yeah.
be a true living soul of someone who I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've failed in
Mm-hmm.
school. I've gotten the F's and the
Mm-hmm.
D's and tried to get C's.
Mm-hmm.
I've been the class clown. So
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're doing. Let's really talk
Mm-hmm.
about what's behind it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I've been angry sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what anger actually means. What's really hurting you? Let's talk about it.
That's right. That's
As
right.
opposed to attacking the anger that someone may be
Yeah.
showing.
It's not the root.
Um, and so I love it. And one of the things you and I were talking about backstage, and I want to bring it up here, is because you talked about age being one of the challenges that you had to
Mm-hmm.
go through and had to get out of because you were so young. And I touched on that just now, whereas people think that wisdom is very age determined.
Right. Right.
But you totally went against that odds by being someone young who is carrying a whole lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get through and over the ageism that you
Yeah.
faced?
Yeah. Yeah. I have always been challenged in the areas of respect, and that's typical for men. But I've always been, but I had one thing against me. I was accomplishing a lot at a young age as well. So I had older guys who weren't doing what I was doing that looked down on me for doing what I was doing as well. Um, and so God have blessed me to be in several rooms with people that was twice, three times my age. That was very uncommon, and I had to fight for respect on a different level. And I had to learn, and I'm still learning how not to fight for what's already mine, in a sense of I would fight for respect, but I am who God called me to be. And instead of trying to prove who I am, I'm just going to be who I am.
Mm.
And a lot of times we catch ourselves trying to prove who we are. And that is
Well,
a,
let's sit there for a minute because you
yeah,
said a little while ago that you were fighting a
yeah,
ghost.
that's right.
How? Because you were trying to prove to a teacher who told you before that you were stupid
That's right.
and who is very much no longer here. She's passed away,
Yes.
but you're fighting her ghost. How did you get over that? Because you weren't always at this place where, I'm not going
Mhm.
to prove I'm just going to be. How did you get to that point where I'm no longer going to prove to anyone that
Mhm.
I am who I am?
Yeah, I think for me, I had to be honest with myself. You have to be honest and transparent, and you have to, for me, right? My story is I consistently went to the thing that changed me, which was my relationship with God. It wasn't a
Mm.
religious thing. It wasn't a thing because I was taught this thing. The Holy Spirit literally became my counselor, and I had to spend consistent time with Him, digging into who I am. Why do I make these decisions? Take accountability for my own actions. Why do I feel the way that I feel? Where's that feeling coming from? Is that coming from a God feeling or is that coming from pain? And I had to sit with myself a lot to be able to discover where these things was coming from. And once I discovered where they was coming from, then I knew how to attack it. But a lot of people don't sit with themselves long enough to even discover where things come from. They're so addicted to doing the very next thing, quickly moving, that they don't take time with themselves to figure out the why of how they act or why they act the way they act. And so thankfully, the Lord taught me early on to slow down to the point that He even slowed me down. Like I'm writing a book called From a D to a Doctorate, right? And that's like my journey of all this stuff going through what I'm talking about now to earn this degree, the doctorate degree. But there's another book that's heavier on me, 10 years or life after the doctorate. Because after I thought I had attained all these great things, the Lord sent me through a desert for 10 almost straight years, post all these accomplishments, in order for me to get the idea of what success was out of me. And so I don't think I was supposed to go there. I think you asked me another question. But
No, but I love where you're going. Please.
it's true. It was 10 years was painful. And I had to get the idea of feeling like God owed me something too. And this idea of privilege. Like I've been living right, I'm doing all this stuff. You owe me. You bet. And then when stuff don't happen, why you ain't? I swear that was me. And then God had to rid me of it until I went on a 7 day fast, water fast. And God, I literally had to sit and say, whatever you want to do, I'm okay with it. I'll be here as long as you want me to be here, as long as you would. And I meant that, not with my lips, but with my heart. And then life began to change all of a sudden. And this is after earning the doctorate degree. This is after, because my name was good, but my pockets wasn't. You know, a lot of people was cool with my name. They was inviting me to stuff. They was happy to have me around, but they weren't cutting no checks to be able to help me out. It was wild. I was putting on all these events and I was in debt with these amazing events, and it was just learning so many other things was crazy as well. So that's the whole second half of it as well. But I didn't answer your question. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. But you keep giving me like,
I
I'm like,
know.
can we do 2 hours instead of an hour?
I know, right?
And the more and more you talk, the more just the rest of your life makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
because you keep talking about, you go from pain to passion, passion to purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talked about, we don't sit with ourselves long enough
Yes. Mm-hmm.
to even know where it's coming from, to know what it's rooted in.
That's
And
right.
you said you only know because you consistently go back to what helps you.
That's right.
What
Period.
do you tell the young man or the grown man who doesn't have that? Because for you it was your relationship with God. What
Yes.
do you tell a young man who doesn't have that relationship with God, but they're
Mm-hmm.
in the same position you're in? They're in they having the same pain, this anger, this hurt, this sadness, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't have this thing to consistently go back to, but they want help.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help them, or what do you tell them?
That's where mentorship comes in. And I like to call mentorship really mentorship, meaning men giving other men tours of their own life, right? Instead
Mhm.
of intimidating them, inspiring them with your story. Because people feel like they can tackle their story once they've been inspired by your journey. And learning from
Exactly.
other men, learning from other men that have walked the walk that you're trying to walk. I would say your environment is critical, which is what I tell men now.
Everything.
The environment is everything. The soil is everything. And so who you choose to put, you got that much power. You can choose who you're around. And if you seek better soil, people that are better for you, things will begin to change for you, including the way you think about yourself. And so it starts with what you choose to feed yourself. And that includes your environment. We really are what we eat. And that was one of the things that changed my life as well. I changed the books I was reading. I wasn't reading no books until I started reading books, but I was reading different. I started to pick up some books. I started to change the music I was listening to, change the television shows I was watching. I just changed the people I was hanging around. And I literally saw my life change. It's a principle. It's an equation. It's really simple. I had to change my environment, and as a result, I begin to change. And now I can look back and help others make the same decisions or better decisions that I did. So, and change your environment.
You
Yeah.
said mentor. You giving me a whole different perspective on mentoring.
Hmm.
And you said it's men giving men a tour of their
That's right.
life, hence the
That's mentor. That's
mentorship.
right. That's right.
Um, that's really good, and I think
Hmm.
I think it's what we do, and that's why I even developed this podcast, for
Hmm.
people to be able to see where they are sitting, listening in their life, in the lives of persons like yourself and
Hmm.
myself and my other guests who are doing amazing things. They're at the
Hmm.
top of their mountain. They are the apex of their life, or one of the
Hmm.
apex of their life.
Hmm.
And people are like, man, how did you get there? How did you do it? And then when they listen to your story,
Hmm.
they get to see, oh, so
Hmm.
your life wasn't always as beautiful as it looks now.
Oh, no, no, no.
And they get to say, wow, so you were 5 years ago where I am today. If you can
Hmm.
make it where you are, then so can I.
Hmm.
So they get to look at the tour of your life over the last 5, 10 years and say, if John can make it
Hmm.
through what he went through, there
Hmm.
is no way that my life has to end here.
That's right.
And they are inspired. They can
Hmm.
make different decisions on their
Hmm.
lives and say, you know what, I can change my life today after listening to John and Sharissa
Hmm.
talk about wisdom just
Mm-hmm.
being a person who's healing,
Mm-hmm.
a
That's it.
person who didn't sit in their pain, but they allow their
Mm-hmm.
pain to become their passion, and that
Mm-hmm.
passion led to
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And here we have ID movement. Here we
Mm-hmm.
have you now pastoring a church,
Mm-hmm.
um, and getting over the challenges that you had,
Mm-hmm.
the age phenomenon. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about one of the reasons that what people don't do is they don't like to sit with themselves
Right.
so they can know what's the root of their pain. They don't like to
Mm-hmm.
sit with themselves so they can know what's really going on. And you say it's because we're always trying to get to the next.
That's
What's the
right.
next? And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned something while we were backstage, and I want to bring it now to the front
Mm-hmm.
uh, stage because I thought it was just such a perfect example, but a perfect principle that I want you to talk about. You use the term destination addiction.
Yes.
And that is always trying or always thinking of the next.
Yes.
What's next?
Yes.
Um, Talk about that. Talk about what that was for
Mm-hmm.
you,
Yeah.
where that name itself came from, because I've never
Mm-hmm.
heard that name before. And then
Mm-hmm.
how did you get over and through uh,
Yeah.
that addiction? Hey, purpose seekers. If today's conversation has you thinking about your purpose, what it is, how to find it, and how to truly live it, then I have something special just for you. Introducing the Purpose Finder Formula. And you have free access to this 20-minute training designed to help you uncover your purpose and start living it with confidence. No fluff, no guesswork. It's clear, practical, step by step guide to finding meaning and gaining clarity and direction. Your purpose is calling. Are you ready? Head over to www.charissamunro.com/purpose finder formula. Enter your info and I'll send it straight to your inbox. Imagine waking up every day knowing your life has meaning, impact, and joy. That's what awaits you. So don't wait. Grab your free training today. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. I don't know where the name or term came from. I think I heard it somewhere though, and it just popped in my spirit. And I said, "Oh my goodness, that's me. That's me."
Mm.
Because one of the challenges of success is what is how do I phrase this? One of the challenges that I experienced with success was always thinking that the best thing was in the next thing and not being okay with the now
Oh,
thing.
wait.
Hmm.
Say this slowly.
Yes.
You said,
Mhm.
please repeat that for those listening in the back who are not
Yes.
listening.
Yeah.
Um, you said the problem with success
Hmm. It's always thinking that the best thing is in the next
is
thing.
in the next thing.
And
And,
never being okay with the now thing.
oh
That was me.
man,
And I still struggle sometimes with that. I got to fight that, right? Because we're still fighting our childhood issues even as good adults. I mean, it is what it is, right? And like we get better, but this is why, we continue to get pruned as we grow. We get pruned as we grow, which means that you never fully arrive. It's literally the journey. And you have to be okay with the process. And you got to
man.
find joy in the process because you'll get to a certain point and it still won't be enough. You'll get the doctorate degree, you'll get the $1 million, you'll get the good book deals, and it still won't be enough because you're suffering from addiction to destination, you know, destination addiction, where always thinking the best thing is in the next thing and never realizing the grass is greener where you water it, not on the other side, you know. And I suffer from that, and I still have to fight that, like until God shut me down, and He loves me enough to say no, loves me enough to put a pause on my goals, because you're going to lose everything trying to obtain everything, and so
Mm,
and so
mm,
I
mm.
had to. He had to put a pause on me, and that was the life after the doctorate, after the degree, after you get all these things, and you're like, I'm thinking the best thing. Let me continue. And God literally said, slow down, and stopped me for years. But it was for
And
me.
in that desert phase that you talked about, you
Hmm.
call it a desert phase, you call it a slowdown. What was
Hmm.
happening during that time?
It's a lot going on during that time. In my mind, I was going through it. I mean, I thought God owed me stuff because I had did it by the book. And I realized in terms of becoming what God wants you to be, it's his role. And like, so me telling people exactly how to get there, it don't always work the same way for everybody. And this is why you got to trust the guide, which is the Lord, because he has your specific journey for you. And it doesn't always look, you may be able to take principles, you may be able to take lessons, but you got to go on your own journey, which is his road that he built for you. I was feeling some type of way about God. And I was an assistant pastor, had been with the Lord for years, and I was feeling some type of way about the Lord because I'm like, I did everything you told me to do, and I'm still not getting what I want,
Mm,
what I
mm.
thought would fulfill John, what I thought looked good on John, what I thought John looked good in, you know? And
Forgetting the very scripture that says, many are the
yes,
plans.
you see, yeah. But the Lord knows, and so I had to settle myself with and submit myself. You know what? You just know better than me. And whatever you want to do with who you made, I'm okay with that, you know, because this is your plan, and I had to get okay with that. So it was times that I was walking around with a doctorate degree and was making 32,000 a year. There's times that people would look at me and say, Dr. Tyus, wait, what you doing? Because God made me a middle school teacher. I couldn't get another job because I was overqualified, and so nobody would hire me. And then I had to become a middle school teacher, postdoctorate degree, post conferencing, post writing books. I had to
So
hit
do
that.
so do you think that, and I'm going to ask you a question. It might
Hmm.
be, and I want to ask, the first thing I heard was humility. Do you think that
Absolutely.
you have gotten to a place where you had become arrogant?
100%.
Ah,
100%. I definitely
uh-huh.
was arrogant. I definitely was arrogant because I had a false expectation and realization of success. Thought success was supposed to look a certain way. And I thought, I done did it. I did it. And I started to fall out of love with the meaning of it all and
Mm,
fall in love with the image of it all,
mm,
and it was about how I looked. It was about my perception. What did people think about me when they saw me, which really went back to my childhood issues, which really went back to the root problems of trying to get affirmed all the time, tell me who I am, instead of going back to God and saying, you tell me who I am. And whatever you say matters more than what anybody else say, or anybody else say rather. And so, yeah, I dealt with those things. I would show up to a school, I would show up to an event, and people would look at me and say, "Oh, you brought these kids here, huh? Yeah, I did bring these kids here. Yeah, I'm just taking these kids for a field trip." And they would say, "You're the administrator. They would say these. You're the administrator. You're the superintendent. Aren't you? Yeah, doctor. You're the superintendent." No, I'm a history teacher. I'm a history teacher. And they would say, I just would have thought by now you would just be someplace so far along. And they would again affirm the pain that I was feeling. So God was allowing stuff to hurt in order to get it out.
mm, He was
Yeah.
allowing stuff
Hmm.
to hurt to
Hmm.
get it out of you.
That's right.
And so, do you remember the day, the moment, the hour, the season when
Hmm.
you got it? And it's
Yes.
like, I am completely humble now.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
share
It
what
was
that
a
was?
7-day fast. I
Ah,
had
yes.
put the
Talk
church on
about
the
it.
fast, and God said, "You're going on the fast," right? I went on the 7-day fast of water only for 7 days. And I was tired of everything around life. And times I wanted to give up on everything that I was doing. And the Lord, during that fast, he told me that was prideful and I had ego. And I thought I was humble. I thought I
Mm.
was humble. I really did. I really did. But there's levels to this thing. We're onions, and there's levels to peeling back who we are. And he humbled me. And well, he had been humbling me for years, but I got to that point where I agreed with him instead of fighting him. And I literally said, I'll be in this position as long as you want me to be in this position, as long as you take care of me and my family. And I meant it. It wasn't lip service, it was heart service. I meant it. And God knows when you mean something. And I meant it. And at that point, everything began to change. Everything began to change. And he began to give me the things that I wanted because I wanted him more than the things. And that's what happened. And that wasn't a
And so
long
when
time ago.
you,
That's 2.5 years ago. So it's
wow,
like a
that was,
second phase, a second life.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh. I like how you put that, a second life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you living your life the way you
Mm-hmm.
want,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like God says, okay, now that you've lived that life
Mm-hmm.
and you and I have had a come into Jesus moment, now
Yes.
let me show you, now let me give you and show you the life that I always had for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like how age is nothing for God.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say, well, you're too old now, so I'm going to start with the next.
Oh, no, 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 not
He's
at
like,
all.
no, you are very much here. You are still
Yes.
breathing. There is still
Mhm.
something left for you to do. I can
Mhm.
still use you if you're willing. And if you're
Yes.
willing, he said, yes, here it is. And so here you are
Mhm.
2.5 years later
Mhm.
telling this story.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm not even a man, and it's inspiring me
It hurt me
because
as a man.
I know, and I'm listening from my husband, I'm listening from my brother,
Mhm.
I'm listening from my guy friends who
Mhm.
I know may also, because one thing men don't like to do is talk about these kind of things.
Oh, I, I wouldn't have said a
I can
word to you about
imagine. Absolutely. And I can imagine the pain they're feeling. I can imagine the pride that they may be,
it. Mhm. Yes.
facing and wondering, well, why can't I get
Mhm.
what I want? Why don't I have the life? Why
Mhm.
how can I make all this money, or how
Mhm.
can I have all of this and still
Mhm.
not feel like I have accomplished?
I
And for
wasn't. I
you,
wasn't. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready.
you had an expectation. Exactly. You weren't ready. Now, do I believe that ready and preparation are parallel or simultaneous? No, because
Mhm.
you can still not be ready but be fully prepared.
Got you. Wow.
And that was
Okay.
my story.
Mm.
I wasn't ready when my parents passed.
Mhm.
Sean, let me tell you something.
Mhm.
When I say, well, I wasn't ready for this.
I
I
see.
was ready for what I thought I was ready for. But
Mhm.
then when they passed and things in my life started changing and God started taking me places and people
Mhm.
started asking me for certain things, and there were things that God would have me do now that I wouldn't have ever thought I'm doing. And I'm like, but I'm not ready for this.
Mm.
And he had to remind me, actually, very recently, he had to remind me, but Sharissa, all up until now, I have been preparing you.
Come on now.
So
Yeah.
even though you weren't ready, you were very
Mhm.
prepared.
Mhm.
And so sometimes we feel like we're not ready, but and unfortunately in the preparation there's pain.
Oh yeah. 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 Absolutely.
In the preparation there is hurt, because all of the preparation he was doing, even then, all that preparing up until 2014, Mondo's died, there is still 10 years of pain
Yes.
that I'm going through. And it's like, out of this pain, I'm squeezing out passion. Out of this
Mm.
pain, I'm finding purpose. So hence
Mhm.
the Purpose Finders
Mhm.
podcast. Hence the
Mhm.
Purpose Finder formula that I'm creating. Hence the
Mhm.
book I'm about to write. Like, but
Mhm.
all of that is coming from my passion for not wanting people to die with their purpose, but it came from my pain
That's right.
of
That's right.
actually seeing what purpose looks like when it's complete in
Mhm.
my parents, and making sure
Mhm.
that I also too can die empty.
Come on now. Come
But
on
there's
now.
some pain with that. And
Yeah.
so he had to make sure that, and I want men and women who are listening to us, like,
Mhm.
God is going to make sure that when you stand on a mountaintop,
Mhm.
you don't say, I did this.
Come on now. Come on.
He is going to make sure
That's right.
that you say, He did
He
this.
did this. Come on
It
now.
is all for His glory.
Come on. Come on
And
now.
so, as much as you say you're a doctor and you got your doctor's
Come on
degree,
now. Yeah.
everyone thought you should be an administrator and you should
Mhm.
be the superintendent. And
Mhm.
you're like, no, I'm just, unfortunately, the history teacher. But at the end of the
Yes.
day, 15 years later, you're going to be like, no matter what, I can't even begin to say I did this.
That's right.
God,
That's right.
God did
It was
this,
him. It
and
was him.
I.
Because
There
the
are men that are listening. Go ahead.
because the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing.
It's still the
That's what my
wrong thing.
dad used to tell me all the time. You know, the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing because time has to align with who you are too. Because it's more
And time
than
was one of your challenges.
it was. Because I thought it needs to come, but God said, "Wait," you know, in time and in His time, and I had to fight the spirit of anxiousness because the reason why I
Mm,
was so anxious was because I didn't trust His timing. I didn't trust Him.
mm.
I thought, let me do this myself. Let me find a way to hurry up because God obviously don't know what He doing. Obviously, let me do this. Let me get this now. And God said no, and His no was protection because let Him have given me what I wanted in the wrong time, I would have abused it
Oh yes, you would have
personally.
messed it all up.
I
Just
would have messed it up. I
a
would have messed
beautified mess.
a beautified mess. Yes, yes, because I wasn't healed. I wasn't,
Absolutely.
and it wasn't timing. And what I may want even now may not be the right timing. So I still have to wait on the Lord. And so I have to trust Him in His time, in His process. So
So when you look at your life now and what you have now versus then, can you
Mhm.
share the complete differences of what it was then and then what you have now?
Yes. Um, so He's given me levels of responsibility, right? So even pastoring the church, a church that my dad started and my mom continued, and a church that at one point seemed like it was dying, a church that felt like it had no life in it. My mom had breast cancer, and people were leaving, people were dying for COVID. And it was like she said, "Here, take it now." So she left me something or gave me something that it felt like it was dying. And to see God breathing life into a ministry and
Mm.
bringing people that have all types of stories, people that were gang members, being people that were on the streets, people that thought they knew God and came and left God and then came back to God. Seeing the life at World Conquerors is a blessing to me. But it took me to get to this place as well because let this have been then, I would have thought it's because of me, right?
Mm.
And it's not because of me. And even with the ID movement, doors just started opening where the Lord would bless me with certain contracts where I'm teaching and training prisoners, fathers in prison, and I'm going throughout the state of Ohio, teaching them all these areas of fatherhood and mentorship and leadership, and all of these doors are opening. I'm working as director of a youth programs of a national nonprofit as well as that. Things are just different, and it's only because I allow God to change me. So, and I know it's Him. Trust me, I know it's Him.
Now I know you're a married man.
Yeah,
You're a married man. You're with a son. I think it's a son.
daughter,
It's a
daughter.
daughter. London, yes.
London. Hmm.
So you're a father. So there's also preparation for that. But in that 10 years of desert, where you said
Mm.
things are not the best, how how did that work with and for your wife? Because now you also have a partner in the game.
So I have a partner in the game, but I was going through it at home too. If we're gonna be honest, I was going through it at home too. I have a wonderful wife, but we both had to grow into each other, and that took time, and that took God too. So there was a lot of us not seeing eye to eye, and I think people need to know the truth. We weren't seeing eye to eye. We wasn't. So I was getting it outside, and I was getting it at home. Thankfully, she never tore me down. Thankfully, she never tore me down and made me feel bad for. She was the breadwinner in the home, and that ate me alive because I'm like, I'm the man. I need to be. She was bringing home the bacon for real, right? And so all these things messed with me, and God took me through that process. Thankfully, now we are so much aligned in so many ways. Perfect, no, but that's the beauty of it. We have a journey, and we're growing, and we get better and better. And But I did have someone that was always supportive of me and my dreams. She would often sit back and just watch me. And she said, I knew that wasn't God's will, but I mean, I was trying to tell you, but you just so driven that you just got to go and do it. And that was me. I see something, I'm going after it. There ain't nothing going to stop me, the type of person. And the home suffered sometimes. And I had to learn that lesson as well. The home suffered because of my anxiousness.
Mm.
Yeah, until I had to
And
learn
how
to
did you
submit to Lord, even in
and
that.
how did you guys and I'm asking these questions because I want the men who are listening, who are
Mm-hmm.
also husbands, who are
Mm-hmm.
also fathers, who there's a lot that they're battling with on the inside,
My
but
goodness,
then there's
yes,
also a daughter watching them, there's also a
I know.
wife, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's struggle in the home. And,
Mm-hmm.
happily and luckily and blessfully for you,
Mm-hmm.
your marriage withstand.
Amen.
What is one of the great advice you can give to a man who is struggling in some of the pain you have also experienced, that you don't crush and give up on the people that
Mm-hmm.
you love the most who are right there with you?
I would say to them to know that um, God allowed it to happen, and you have to trust that He has allowed you to be married. He's allowed you to have children. So it's whatever they need is inside of you. And you have to define that. You have to discover that. You have to find that place. I would say another thing that I would give men is to make sure they love their families more than they love themselves. Give, and I know that seems ironic because you can't really love more than you love yourself, but give up of yourself completely and consistently be okay with dying because it's a death process. Dying to your own will, your own wants, your own desires, your own flesh, being willing to die for your family. And that's not physical only. That's not physical only. That's
Mm.
praying when you feel like people don't care about you. That's loving when you feel like you're not respected. That's showing up when it feels like people don't see you. You have to die. Marriage is a death walk, but so is this walk with Christ anyway. And so it's like we're going to die either way. And so, but the beautiful thing is, it's enough in you to make it through it. And you have to continue to push yourself to die for what you love.
And just as good as this is really, really good for the men to hear, it's also great
Mm-hmm.
for the women to hear about the man that they love.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think many times we only see, like, we see what is going on with him, what he's expressing, whether it's anger, whether it's hurt,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's frustration,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's anxiousness. Like, we see that, and
Mm-hmm.
we automatically personalize it as women. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that men are dealing with on the outside, and then when they come home,
Yes.
they're honestly trying to find a place. I can only imagine you were trying to find a place
Mm-hmm.
of refuge
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing how to do that all by yourself, so that we can see
Mm-hmm.
that. But we're still seeing the warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And, so now you have two people who are fighting. But just for women to be able to say, even though he may appear to be angry, what is really behind his anger?
Yeah.
There's frustration, but what is behind his frustration?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you said something to me that wasn't loving, but
Mm-hmm.
why?
Mm-hmm.
Versus, you said something to me that wasn't loving, so then I'm just
Mm-hmm.
automatically going to be disrespectful to you. And
Mm-hmm.
then now we have two people who are upset for forever.
That's right.
But we too, as women, have a responsibility in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the man should be the leader, like, as
Mm-hmm.
women, we have responsibility to make sure that we can encourage that leader and
Mm-hmm.
not um not also be the person that enrages the
Mm-hmm.
leader, or the lion, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. And so this makes for a great time for both men and women to reflect.
Absolutely.
Because I saw something with my dad, a teaching he was doing recently, and
Mm-hmm.
he was showing how we look at marriage a lot with the
Mm-hmm.
husband and the wife facing each other,
Mm-hmm.
but he was demonstrating how God looks at it, where we are actually back to back with each other.
Mm.
So that when the enemy comes, we see the enemy as opposed to
Mm.
facing each other. We don't see each other when things
Oh,
happen.
that's powerful. That's
Oh
powerful.
man. And so it was a big reminder to me, just about, I think last week I saw it. And it was
I've
a big
never seen it.
reminder for me, even for my own
Mm-hmm.
husband,
For
in my
sure.
relationship with my husband, that
Mm-hmm.
the wiles of the enemy that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
that is what is against us. We are not against each other. If anything, we are backed up against each other to support each other.
Come on.
But many times we forget that and we face each other. So when something is hitting us on the back, the only
Mm-hmm.
person I see is him, or the
Come
only person
on.
he sees is me. And I start
Mm-hmm.
blaming him, and he starts blaming me, and we start
Yes.
fighting. But these enemies are pushing us at the back, and
Come
they're
on
pushing
now.
us into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this almost this intentional, let me turn, so it's not you I see,
Mm-hmm.
even though it may feel like it.
Yeah, and then a lot of us blame the enemy when we should look at ourselves too. Like I know
Oh,
sometimes the enemy is not the enemy, it's the enemy, right? And so it's
the
inside of
enemy, hold on. We are at the last hour of this episode, and you want to be
I
dropping these kind
know.
of gems.
I'm
He
just
said,
saying.
"It's not always the enemy; it is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the inner me."
Enemy. Yes.
Tyus, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's true. And I gotta be okay with knowing that I gotta tackle me. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. It's hard to do, but work on yourself. Don't point the finger.
Mm. So, what has been some of, and I say some, but that's maybe one or two, the biggest advice you have gotten
Hmm.
over the last, I want to say, 25 years of your life that you hold on to, that has led you to this very day of someone who is filled with wisdom?
Fail with wisdom. Come on now. That's hard. That's really, really tough. That's hard. That's really, really tough for me. But I would say um, knowing that God is always the answer. I know that sounds so cliche, so easy, so obvious, but it's really not obvious because more people would do it if it was that obvious. Um, but really understanding and pouring into that relationship between you and Him, spending that time with Him, going for walks in prayer, talking to God, loving on God, letting Him show you yourself. And then from there, everything comes from there. It's almost like people seek so hard to find their purpose, but if they would find God, their purpose will find them. And it's
Automatically.
because purpose is attracted to you when you are falling in love with the Lord and spending that time. It just comes to you. So instead of pursuing something, pursue Him and watch it pursue you. That's what I would say.
And that's good. That's good. And
Hmm.
to even build on that, finding God just allows you to see that your purpose has been with you all along,
The whole time.
all along. And
Yes.
which is why, there's this discover your purpose, but I like to coin it as uncovering your purpose.
Yes. Beautiful.
Like there's an
Hmm.
uncovering of something that's already there. It's not lost. It's not somewhere,
Mm-mm.
in the abyss. It's very much
Mm-mm.
with you. But when you, to your point, when you do find God, then you get this revelation that,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like it's right here. Like I just need to embrace it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you embrace a treasure that you find and then you uncover it and it's like, wow. And it's
Mm.
bigger than you.
That's
So
right.
sometimes you get afraid and we cover it up right away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always like it's always there. It's
Yes.
always there. And
Always.
as we go through life, as we go through experiences, as we have divine um engagements with God Himself, like you talk
Mm-hmm.
about the onion, like purpose is one of those, life onion things where the
Yes.
more you grow and the more you experience and the more you allow yourself to be open and expand by God's grace, like you
Mm-hmm.
find out more about who you are. You find out more another level of your purpose. Like you
Yes.
thought this you had it, like God has 50 more levels for you to go. Are you ready?
Exactly.
And He
Exactly. And
can't give it
that's
all to you here because you're not
no,
prepared. You're
no.
not ready.
Yeah, and I think people run it, and I know we're really about short on time, but I think people make that mistake in believing that purpose is just a thing.
Mm.
No, it's not just a thing. I'm called to write a book. It's more than just a book. It's more than just this. It's a journey. And because after you write the book, does that mean your purpose is over? No, it's not. It's
No.
not. That is an assignment attached to your purpose. You know,
Mm.
and so your assignment is to fall in love with God, grow with God, discover who you are in Him, and from there He sends you out on assignments of what you should do, and that's many, 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 many things. So yeah, so you're not too young or too old. So
John, thank you so very much.
I appreciate.
Your openness and transparency, I was not prepared for.
I
Oh, I wasn't
hope
ready for.
so.
Let me say that. I wasn't
Yeah,
ready for it.
prepared
But I
for
was
it.
definitely
Yeah.
prepared to give
Mhm.
the men and women that are listening whatever you would put on this open, clean slate.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for your obedience because you've said some things that have also shifted my
Mhm.
perspective
Mhm.
on things. And I know the men, especially the men that are
Mhm.
listening, are tuning into really and truly what it is that
Mhm.
you're spitting out.
That's right.
And I know that if they apply one mind shift, one mental shift today, it will shift the next 20 years of their life. And I'm going
Absolutely.
to give you the opportunity to give one advice to the young boy, to the older man, to the grown man that is still stuck in that young boy mentality. One advice to them to even further them along in their
Mhm.
purpose journey.
One advice would be, um, it's in you, and it's always been in you, but you need the
Mm,
key to unlock it, and the key is the Lord. Once you find Him, you find yourself.
absolutely. The key is the Lord. I like that. I like that. Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you allowed yourself to listen with an open heart, open eyes, open ears to receive all that Dr. John Tyus had to share, especially to the men. This episode was just for you. I am dedicating this episode to every young boy, every old man, and everyone in between that's
Hmm.
listening to another man who turned his pain into
Hmm.
passion and his passion into purpose.
Hmm.
John, thank you so much again for being here. I'm going to end on something that I'm very passionate about.
Hmm.
There's no pain associated with this passion.
Hmm.
It's very much intertwined with what I love, and that's food.
Oh, me too.
There you go.
Yes.
So please share with us what is your favorite food
Oh,
and what
that's
is your favorite
worse.
restaurant?
That's the worst question to ask me out of every question you've asked me. I love all food.
Uh huh.
I'm a big fan of seafood and Italian.
Okay.
So as far as restaurants, right now is a restaurant in Columbus, Ohio called Cento, which I absolutely have loved and fallen in love with. So I will say when you're here, visit it.
Seafood's good. Have you had seafood from the Bahamas? Because if you haven't been to the Bahamas for seafood, you haven't had seafood.
I need Bahamian seafood for sure. I need it. I need it. I need
Yes, you need to have seafood, Bahamian seafood in your life. Big difference.
that.
Awesome, awesome. I love a good snapper. I love a good grouper. I
Mm.
love crab.
Oh, glory,
I
glory.
love a good boil
Come on now. Yes. Come
here.
on now. Come on
Yes.
now.
So,
Mm.
well, thank you for sharing seafood and Italian. Well, John,
Yes.
thank you so much for being here. For those who are listening, I know that your life is going to be changed after this episode. You have just witnessed another great episode on the Purpose Finder podcast. I am your host, Teresa Monroe Wilborn. And until next time, see you soon. Bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Finder podcast. I hope today's conversation lit a fire within you because purpose isn't just something you chase. It is something you live every single day. If this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people on their journey to purpose. Let's continue the journey together. Join the Purpose Finder community on Facebook for exclusive insights, tools, and a tribe of purpose-driven people just like you. And remember, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Your purpose isn't far off. It's already within you. It's time for you to uncover it and live it boldly. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep walking in your purpose.